got to a point where I was just so burnt out that I had to just take a break. Like my
Yeah.
body wouldn't allow me to go anymore. And it was like kind of forced, so to speak. And then when I was finally, gave myself permission to relax and just be present and connect, the littlest things were fulfilling. And that was a weird,
Yeah.
feeling to me, to feel that level of joy and happiness, doing practically nothing, but so connected and present in that moment.
Yeah.
Just felt so foreign, but in a beautiful, good way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, I want more of that.
Yeah.
And then to further on the awareness, it was like the way I was operating, the way I was being, didn't feel good. I mean, yeah, I would produce good results, but at what cost? Do you know what I mean? Like there was no happiness. It was an obligation.
And also, I mean, what does that even mean? Good results to you, at that point might have been, financial. But
100%.
what about health? What about mindset? What about mental well-beingness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you say about my weight release?
You were twice the man you are
Twice the
now.
man I used to be. Yeah, so I was drinking heavy every single night. I was 63 pounds heavier. My relationships were just terrible. What ones I had left. I was a shitty father, shitty husband. Like it was terrible. Money was great.
Yeah.
But I thought that that's what I was supposed to do, is provide, and I am still a provider today, but at a higher level with less effort and more joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because think about it. If you're in a low state and you're experiencing those survival emotions, stress, anxiety, depression, whatever the case is, like that's a reduced frequency. It's really low, and it's going to take a lot of effort and grind and hustle to move your flesh puppet through time and space, forcing and manipulating to produce a result. And that's what I was doing. But I didn't even know it. Like I didn't have a point of reference. And so learning how to increase my state of being and being in a higher frequency, higher vibration, like that lends like clarity. And with that clear intention and an elevated state of being, man, things just seem to unfold for me.
Yeah.
There's less effort, which means if I want to spend some effort, I can do a whole bunch of stuff and it'll just organically unfold for me. Like it just, I don't know how else to explain it. And it's kind of magic, like you say. I don't know the exact science behind all of it 100%, but I don't need to know that it works based on the results and experience I have with the process. Like I don't understand the theory of electricity, but I know how to flip the switch and turn on the light. Like I don't need to know how it works. I just know it works.
Fam, what's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse Podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Another episode of the Mindset Monday series with my co-host, Justin Thermostat. Yeah, Justin, he can do it. He's a man. If he can't do it, no one can. Justin.
I was all on board until that last little bit.
That was cheerleading, bro. Like, you didn't see cheerleaders in your head?
No.
You have no sense of joy or fulfillment, dude. I'm telling you, man. Which takes me to today's topic. Let's talk about joy and fulfillment, right? Like, it's and you call it the 3 C's, right? For harmony and fulfillment in somebody's life. But I feel like joy it's a very simple, we've talked about it plenty of times before. It's a very simple concept, but I don't think it's as simple to embrace. One of the things that I was thinking about this weekend was I'm sitting there and I find joy in like the little things, and then I realized that to me it's a learned behavior. It's like I wasn't that kid that had those walking around with a rainbow coming out the butt. Like it's not I was not
that.
I was not that kid. I wasn't but I learned along the way, and I think a lot of it came after I burned out during my first business and in my mid-20s. Where I realized, like, holy shit, man, we're pursuing a lot of things. We're, looking to achieve. We're looking for validation. I'm trying to, create this life and whatever, but what about the joyful things? What about the smiles? So now my biggest indicator of a good life is the smiles. Like I count, they're like currency to me, right? And if we had a personal growth one-on-one conversation in the past for the people out there listening, I probably mentioned that, right? Because it's such a big thing in my life. And then it hit me. You see people that they just don't seem to enjoy life.
Yeah. No matter what they
no matter what's going on, no matter how great the environment is, no matter how cool the movie or the scenery is, or the restaurant or the food or whatever, like there's always like, you have that fuck off face, right? Or the resting bitch face. And I get it. Like sometimes people just, they're introverts, they're quiet, they don't express a lot. But then again, there's also that group of people who just sit there and they like it's just another thing. Nothing impresses, right? Like they're them as a human being, and I'm thinking like why is that a thing? Why does that happen? And I'm realizing that we often talk about the financial thermostat. Right, your financial thermostat is going to get you to a certain level of success unless you're able to tweak that, you're able to grow that, and like mess around with the financial thermostat. Right, the hotter the thermostat, you said it, the higher the degrees are, are going to be, you're going to be able to tolerate, or you're going to be able to live in before it resets. Right, and we see that happening. It's the same thing with joy. I feel like people have this joy thermostat, as well. Right, like you have this capacity to enjoy life. Beyond that, it's like, I don't know if it's something that I don't know what to do with, with smiles, or it just feels awkward. It feels strange. And then you reset back to that level of joy, as opposed to breaking through it and really, really enjoying that life. I feel like, sometimes that has to be triggered by a traumatic event, by loss, or some,
catastrophic
messed up stuff that happened in your life or something like that. And then people start to enjoy. What happens? That joy thermostat gets reset to a higher setting.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And it's funny. A lot of people do wait until something catastrophic happens where they have a wake up and they change or transform, I should say. And the interesting part, though, is that if you realize in the moment of something catastrophic and it changes a belief system, whatever the cause is, but it alters your personality in such a way that you see the truth of the matter, of this thing called life, like you find out that you're capable to change. And so the question is not, are you capable? It's why wait until something catastrophic versus volunteer to be different.
Right.
In this case, that joy, right? And I don't know, man, look at kids. Like, look at Diego, your little boy, right? Like, I mean, especially when he was even younger, like that kid was always happy and super inquisitive and, why? Like, I just always experienced that kid in a state of joy. Now, he's not always 100%, right?
No, but it's funny you bring that up, because I felt like, I mean, just like every other 12-year-old kid, right? They learn to be pains in the butt.
Totally.
But we acquire learned behaviors and stigmas and perspectives, right? But when we're in that element of just us, there's no cap to joyfulness. Usually, you have laughter, you have, and then we start borrowing all this baggage and experiences and modeling behind, what we see on social and whatever. And when we start, to learn to not enjoy things.
100%. And so, I'm immovable on the belief that we're born naturally with joy in us. Like, it's just a natural state. Now, obviously, I know, everybody listening, watching knows somebody that just never experiences joy. That's a learned response.
Yeah.
Like, that's a misidentification of the whole situation. However, it's a natural state, and maybe people just haven't been connected to it like they used to be in a very long time. So, that's learned. But the good news is, if you learned how to be that resting bitch face or a Debbie Downer,
you can also unlearn it.
Yeah, you can unlearn it and relearn something new. So it's not a matter of ability; it's a matter of willingness.
Yeah. I like it, man. I think it's important to understand what brings us right to that state of joy. What creates that? I mean, you don't even have to call it, complete fulfillment or happiness. Like, joy is the beginning of that. Yeah. And if you stack it up enough, you're gonna hit that emotional state where, like, man, I'm in bliss.
Yeah,
I'm in a great state of peace and an enjoyment, right,
Yeah.
throughout life. And it's about little moments. I think it's about learning how to enjoy the little stuff, the walks in the afternoon, I don't know, your kids playing jokes on you. You may be busy, you may be whatever, but dude, your kid's playing, like you have your kid's attention. How amazing is that?
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, I knew this guy. He very just what's the word? Unsettling state to him, kind of awkward. And the only time I'd see him smile or be in a state of joy was when he got recognition, but not just any recognition, not like a attaboy, but a sales award, or was the top at this, or
Achievement.
Yeah, it was achievement. But then it just seems so short-lived. And within 15 minutes of that recognition,
You're looking for the next thing. Yeah.
back to the next thing. And it's like, wow, like that must be living in hell on earth,
Yeah.
right? And so I know that person really well because it was me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was always so
Plot twist.
Yeah, it was always so like grind and hustle to get that next level, and because I thought that was going to be fulfilling, I
Yeah.
thought I'd get happiness, and it did for a few minutes, and then it's like, oh shit, now what? I mean, if I had to go through all that to get this, and that's my fix, so to speak, like, what do I got to do now to get another one? Like, ugh, I'm already exhausted. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just always so purposeless.
Yeah, and purpose is it's a loaded, I feel it's a heavy word, right? But again, a simple smile can bring us back on track on the stuff that we actually align with
100%.
if we pay attention to it,
Yeah.
right? You're not gonna be, smiling throughout the day if you're doing shit that you don't align with.
No, not at all.
So-
So for me, it was just kind of breakdown, and then I got introduced to personal development,
Yeah,
and I realized why I had that. Like, I couldn't be at peace until I won, and that was even short-lived. And it was like feeding a hungry ghost.
Right.
Whatever came in would just fall right through. And I realized it was because conditioned as a kid, and not getting the affection, love, connection from mom, who was my primary parent, didn't
Yeah.
have the father. I was never enough. It's never good enough, and all of that. So it's like when I got an award, it was like evidence that I'm enough, I'm worthy, I'm deserving. And when I realized that whole dynamic and got rid of it, that's when I allowed the joy in. That's when the little things were like, I was just able to see it. I was able to experience it. And it is with the smallest things. Like, if you can't enjoy the beauty of a sunset, especially here in Arizona,
oh yeah,
oh man, and just be in awe that it's never going to look like that again. Like, that was a unique painting, if you will,
right.
for today. And just take that in, and be in just total shock and awe about the beauty and the creation of it. Man, I don't know how you would enjoy $1 billion.
You know
what I
what
mean?
got me? It's well, okay, you're bringing that up, and to me it was great. Oh yeah, that looks beautiful, and then I would look away, for something else, right? And I don't know, I'm taking myself to like afternoons at the lake, for example, right? And I would enjoy the lake itself, but it was like I was kind of like enjoying it from outside, if that makes sense. I was never in it like. I mean, I was physically in the lake, but my attention was like, oh, that looks really cool. And then I would turn around and get distracted with something else, the speed of the boat, whatever, right? But it was just a good time. It wasn't a peaceful, joyful state where I was really, taking it all in, for example.
You weren't connected to it.
Yes, until I started breathing.
Ah.
So this super simple hack for me, right? But this works. I started breathing. I'll look at a sunset. I'll look at something, and then 5 breaths. Look at the sunset, and then just not that that's all you want to do and look at sunsets, right? But
I have something to say about that.
But slow down a little bit, and like really, connect with it. You know what I mean? It's a different experience. That's all I can say.
Well, if someone is not connected to the present moment,
Yeah.
that's simply because you're not connected to self.
Yeah.
And for you, breath is life,
Yeah.
right? So when you learn how to breathe, it brings you present. It gets you connected to you and your body,
Yeah.
to life. And so that's fascinating that I would, hypothesize that you weren't connected with yourself until you learned how to breathe. And get you connected and present, because it's everything.
And take that across the board, man. Take it, to a conversation.
Oh, especially conversations when you get triggered, activated.
Yeah. I don't like sometimes, like, I know not everybody enjoys going to like grandma's house or, whatever, like when we're growing up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then it got to a point where I would go to my grandma's house And I would visit and just like, oh, how are you doing, really quick. And again, I was kind of, experiencing her from the outside, not really in that space. I would go kind of clock in.
You didn't want to be there.
Clock in is like, oh, I gotta go. I have something else to do or something.
Right.
And I'd be thinking about that other thing as opposed to like completely being there. And again, same thing, dude. Same experience. Just to me, it was more of I have to go see grandma than I get to go see grandma.
False choice versus true choice.
Yeah, exactly. So again, the joyfulness of it was also directly connected to the way that I was creating that experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And ask yourself the question, like, if you're listening to this, right? How many times are you rushing through a conversation with somebody that you haven't seen in forever because you have something else to do? Like, take a breath. Slow down, 5 breaths or something, and just, get in that space, pay attention to that space. That's how you learn to enjoy the little things.
Yeah, it's so simplistic, yet so profound, but it's something you got to experience.
I think that's why it works.
Right? Yeah.
Because it's so simple.
Yeah. Well, and, Aubrey Marcus, actually, I don't know if it was this book or a podcast I was listening to years ago, but he would say that basically when he get activated or something, he'd just take a minute and excuse himself, and no explanation needed, and just sit down and close his eyes and take 6 deep conscious breaths and just connect to your lungs, expanding and contracting, and to bring you present. And man, that's such an effective practice just to bring you back to a center, an elevated state actually, when you're just in chaos or tasky mode or false choice obligation tasks, and you really are thinking about something else you want to be doing. Yeah. Like it's so powerful.
Well, and I think it's almost a common practice for us, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, you're always on. People tell me like, when do you work? Like 24/7, 365. I mean, we're always on. Like if you have your own business and you bootstrapped it and you're trying to achieve and grow and do all that stuff, certain people we're wired that way. Okay, so we're always gonna have that on switch. Now, how many times, if you have a significant other or kids or whatever, how many times have they asked you or told you, right, that, oh yeah, we're at the beach, but your mind is somewhere else. You're paying attention to something else. Oh, you're somewhat here, but you're still like you caught up in the emails and that's it's the same thing. It's about being in that space. We can't say we're in a space of joy if we're doing 52 other things that are tasky as opposed to living that moment right there with intentionally, right, with in the joyful self. And bro, I did not see that for years.
Me either. I would get defensive if they told me that, and they did a lot.
I gotta get shit done.
Yeah, well, and it's like I'm the provider, financially speaking, and like the family relies on me. So how dare you tell me that I'm working when I have to be, like, even though we're on vacation? And I was so wrong.
Well, I mean, your little kids don't care. They don't give a shit that we have to work. They don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Like we're on the beach. Come on.
Exactly. So that happens, and I feel like I learned that so well that I struggled to unlearn it. I struggled to get disconnected. I mean, I talk about disconnecting and kind of hitting that reset button because I'm adamant about it, because it's something that I that now I do intentionally because it's a learned behavior for me. I was always going. And you want a vacation? Yeah, we did a trip. We went to wherever. And how was it? Oh, it was good. But when I sat down to think about like my memories were like slim and spread apart, like the good stuff. I would think about like, oh shit, I'm sitting back thinking about the weekend in Disneyland, for example, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of me walking around checking emails as opposed to like, oh, the smile on my kid's face when I when I was telling him that the submarine was going to drown and we're not going to get out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing like creating a trauma for your kids where they'll need therapy later
Builds
in
character. Builds character. But you know what I mean, like creating that kind of experience. So through a joyful state, and I feel like about being present. And it gets me thinking. It got me thinking. I mean, primarily about like, what is it, right, that makes it click, that makes it makes that change in our ability to feel joyful, to adopt and embrace joy, right? And I like, man, we're set, just like we're financially set to a certain degree. we're like joyfully set to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
we have to break through that barrier to really see it through, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's very much a learned behavior, dude. It's something that we can learn.
Totally. Well, again, I think our natural state is joy. So to not be experiencing joy is a learned response.
Yeah.
Which, if you learn that pile of shit, you can learn something else that's beautiful and
Yeah.
supports you and serves you. For me, I think it was I got to a point where I was just so burnt out that I had to just take a break. Like my
Yeah.
body wouldn't allow me to go anymore, and it was like kind of forced, so to speak. And then when I was finally, gave myself permission to relax and just be present and connect, the littlest things were fulfilling. And that was a weird,
Yeah.
feeling to me, to feel that level of joy and happiness, doing practically nothing, but so connected and present in that moment.
Yeah.
Just felt so foreign, but in a beautiful, good way. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, I want more of that.
Yeah.
And then to further on the awareness, it was like the way I was operating, the way I was being, didn't feel good. I mean, yeah, I would produce good results, but at what cost? Do you know what I mean? Like there was no happiness. It was now an obligation.
And also, I mean, what does that even mean? Good results to you, at that point might have been, financial. But
100%.
What about health? What about mindset? What about mental well-beingness?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you say about my weight release?
You were twice the man you
Twice
are
the
now.
man I used to be. Yeah, so I was drinking heavy every single night. I was 63 pounds heavier. My relationships were just terrible. What ones I had left. I was a shitty father, shitty husband. Like it was terrible. Money was great.
Yeah.
But I thought that that's what I was supposed to do, is provide, and I am still a provider today, but at a higher level with less effort and more joy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because think about it. If you're in a low state and you're experiencing those survival emotions, stress, anxiety, depression, whatever the case is, like that's a reduced frequency. It's really low, and it's going to take a lot of effort and grind and hustle to move your flesh puppet through time and space, forcing and manipulating to produce a result. And that's what I was doing. But I didn't even know it. Like I didn't have a point of reference. And so learning how to increase my state of being and being in a higher frequency, higher vibration, like that lends like clarity. And with that clear intention and an elevated state of being, man, things just seem to unfold for me.
Yeah.
There's less effort, which means if I want to spend some effort, I can do a whole bunch of stuff and it'll just organically unfold for me. Like it just, I don't know how else to explain it. And it's kind of magic, like you say. I don't know the exact science behind all of it 100%, but I don't need to know that it works based on the results and experience I have with the process. Like I don't understand the theory of electricity, but I know how to flip the switch and turn on the light. Like I don't need to know how it works. I just know it works.
On that same note, you also understand how to smile, right? And like we have certain like so many simple things that we can pay attention to that in reality give us like they give us the answers of a lot of times the stuff that we're looking for outwards. We're looking for, okay, what should I do with my life? Like, what puts a smile on your face? Like a genuine smile on your face.
You're like, no, I can't do that because I don't know how to monetize it.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
I mean, I don't know, figure it out. Talk to somebody who, not how, level up, partner up with somebody else, collaborate, right? And I think on that note, I mean, collaboration is a big key to creating that harmony and that sense of fulfillment. Like,
here we go.
Yeah.
So I believe, it's my opinion anyways, that our society, the way it's structured, is very much consumerism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like go get a paycheck and then spend it so you feel better because you feel like shit having to earn the paycheck, right? Like you don't enjoy what you're doing. And with that consumerism, it's about like self-preservation, self-interest. Like I got to, keep up with the Joneses and have the biggest house and the nicest whip and the gold chains and whatever. It's like, man, at the end of the day, does that really make you happy? And it breeds an unhealthy form of competition when in regards to win-lose. Like in order for me to win, that means you have to lose. So I got to take from you. And that's not collaboration. That's separateness. Do you know what I mean? And if you go back 10,000 years, the only way we survived was community. Have a tribe. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't last on your own. And so as a society, what are we doing consciously aware to connect, to be collaborative, and to realize that like you've got a great mind, I've got a great mind, and together they're wonderful. Yet, separate they're wonderful, but together that 1 + 1 = 3. Like it's the mastermind approach and Think and Grow Rich. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more at play when you combine versus separateness.
Now think of also, right? Think about this. A lot of times we have this I guess creative limit to like, oh, I don't know, I'm bored. I don't have, like, my imagination is not running to a place like where I can figure out something to do, figure out what to do in my life, where to go, or like reaching out, like you said, reaching out and hanging out with similar leveled, like energy leveled individuals. Like it creates that synergy. Sometimes you don't even have to push, put some effort behind it. It's about being in the right space with a really good conversation, a really person with high vibes, something like that, right? That's gonna stimulate yours. Not that you're gonna take away from that energy, but you're both gonna contribute and create like a collective space for creativity. And I mean, that happens. I'm blessed to say that it happens a lot in our office. Like we come in, I have people come in all the time. We just, brainstorm a few things, and next thing you know, like a totally different idea just popped up.
That's higher and better.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it goes beyond my own little think box, right? Because of not reaching out. What happens? That'll create joy of collaboration, joy of achievement, and you start moving forward. So I feel like being stagnant and just keeping that joy thermostat to a metered state where you're not able to break through it on a regular basis is doing your life a disservice.
100%. So the 3 C's. One is community. We talked about that, having a tribe. You know what I mean? No one, like I used to be a lone wolf, and don't count on anyone. If you want it done right, do it yourself. All those things I was taught as a kid, right? Yeah. And man, I produced good results, but they weren't great like they are today through collaboration and contribution. Like, how do you contribute to humanity, to a tribe, if you don't have one? Do you know what I mean? If you're a lone wolf, like, who are you giving to? Your customers? Well, that's pretty limited. And so, I really, I'm thankful that I discovered the difference between a business operator and a business owner. Like, who really wants to be a business operator for their entire life? Maybe some people. Okay, fine. The E-Myth, right? Yeah. However, I rather own businesses. Case in point, I've got many different businesses in fields that I know nothing about. They're successful, they're profitable, and I don't know anything about them. Henry Ford didn't know how to make a V8 engine. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't invent that. Yeah. So it's like surrounding yourself with people, collaborating, having a common goal and a vision for where you're going, why you're going. Like, man, that's fulfilling. And I do believe, I'm not religious, but spiritual, Jesus Christ, like the highest calling for humanity, I think, is to be of service and be of contribution to one another. It really is. Yeah. And if you're having a really shitty day, I've tasked a lot of people with this, and everyone's resistant, yet the people that do it, if they did it or not, based on how they report back to you. And it's this. We call them RACs, random acts of kindness. And so this one gentleman, I told him, go to the store right now, go get a dozen roses, then separate them out and stand outside the front door of that grocery store or wherever you got them from, and the next 12 people that walk by, give them a rose. Like, these people are like, wait, what's going on? We're weirded out because that's our society, right? Yep. We don't have the community, the collaboration. However, the ones that did, man, instantly put a smile on their face. They felt better. All kinds of stories about, needing to feel love and connection, and wonderful things that happen with that. And so again, if you experience that, putting joy on someone else's face, putting love in their heart, like, you'd report back as a different person. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so, again, you can wait for something catastrophic to happen to realize joy and happiness, or you can volunteer to go out there and just do it on your own. And really, I learned that because I was complaining to this one dude one time back in personal development in the very beginning. And for whatever reason, I was kind of broke at the moment. I had $20 in my account. And I was telling him this. And he was pretty damn well off, like very successful, had a lot of money. And so I felt embarrassed. And he goes, here's what you're going to do right now. Go to the ATM, and then I want you to find the first homeless person you can and give them that $20. I'm like, are you out of your, do you hear yourself? Like, I just told you that's all the money I had. He's like, give it away.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, it's the last thing I wanted to do. And, but I thought, well, hell, I'm in this position and he's making a shit ton of money. He doesn't worry about $20. Why am I fighting to be right about my way when based on results, it's not working?
Yeah.
So I did it. And I gave it to a homeless guy. And this guy, man, I can still see his face. The look on his face and bewilderment of like, oh my God, $20. And I guess he really needed it more than me. And it felt so good to give to him. And if you want something, give it away. Do you know what I mean? Like givers gain. The value you get is the value you bring. You got to bring value to community contribution in order to receive it.
I think, well, contribution, it just opens up a whole different level, I feel, of joy. Like it's
a demonstration of abundance.
Yeah, we keep looking for purpose. Like this is one thing that I see, like, quite often with my students, especially, right? Like, oh, purpose, my purpose, and then they
I don't know
purpose will get mixed in with goal setting, right? And it's like, yeah, my purpose is to become a millionaire and do this and that and whatnot, and it's all like those are goals, right? It's all fine and dandy. Like it creates exponential reach for whatever you want to do when you have the ability to create wealth. And I get that, but purpose goes beyond that. Purpose is something that's going to fulfill you from the inside, and
intrinsic.
And yeah, and it's pretty interesting to see how contribution, how helping others, it puts you in a whole different emotional state. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, if you ever helped somebody, cross the street or held the door open for somebody, 100%. It's kind of like, that's like a little taster of what contribution does, right? You're adding value to that person's day just by the energy that you're putting out there. But when you hone in and you focus on creating value around you and pushing that through, I mean, that to me brings me joy. Yeah. I like right now in this stage of my life, and again I've talked about it multiple times. It's the thing that brings me joy is to empower entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
and the stuff that I do on a daily basis, from the podcast to the coaching with my students and everything. Mm-hmm. Like it's pointing towards empowering entrepreneurship every single second. So it's as I'm in that space. Right, I'm fulfilling that sense of joy and purpose. What happens to you, man? You turn into this beast that can work for hours and hours and hours. You just don't get tired.
Yeah,
it's so. I mean, that's a whole different topic. But dude, it's just there's so many things that happen when we follow that sense of joy that eventually leads you to purpose and contribution.
I gotta tell you this, man. I'm so grateful our paths have crossed because. It feels good to communicate with somebody that truly understands my experience, which is identical to yours. Like, in all the companies that I own, some I operate, like I only have one role in each of them, and that is to empower those people to produce their desired results. And it is fulfilling. And, I work, I guess you could say, from, I'm up at 5:30, I'm in bed at 10:30. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just going. And people are like, man, you work a lot. I'm like, actually, I don't work a day in my life.
Yeah.
Because the activity itself is the fulfillment.
Yeah.
To give to somebody else in that regard and see the light bulb come on and feel that, like, oh, man, it feels so good. Because there was a time when someone gave to me, and I believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. And so if the activity itself is the fulfillment, man, that gives you energy. That energizes you, right? And, like, execution takes energy. And so if you have to work and it's a false choice, and it's an obligation, man, that's labor. And I think being fulfilled by the action itself and being on purpose, man, it just, you can never go back.
Yeah, it's a different way. It's a way of being. It's a way of living, I feel. I started doing it a couple of weeks back, just a day recap, a day inventory. And I always do this, but I just do it mentally, right? Like, okay, before I go to bed, I'll do a quick recap of, how my day went and this and that. And I've been doing it, every single day. At the end of the day, I get to it and I have this laundry list of things that I did, right? Not what I'm gonna do, but what I did today. Like, how did I start? And it starts the same way: meditation, journaling, coffee, and like that's one. it helps me stay aware of my consistency, right? And then I go in there, and everything, usually like everything that I'm doing throughout the day, it's towards empowerment, entrepreneurship, and it's self-alignment, right? Like it's a checkpoint really to see whether or not I'm on the right track. And then I've had a lot of people ask me, dude, how do you do so many different things throughout the day? It's like, man, if I don't list them up, I don't even know that I did them, because they're in alignment with the path that I'm following, with purpose and joy. But it's important to just be aware, right, of the things, one, that bring you smiles, two, whether or not you're in a space of where impact and contribution is your honest priority. It has to be an honest work. It has to be an honest priority for you. If you're not there yet, it means that you still have some loose ends on your personal self and your survival stage. And I feel like we go through stages, as we're growing through
chapters,
life. Yeah, we go through chapters. We go through phases of growth. And you're gonna hit certain phases, and sometimes it sounds really cool to help somebody else out, but like, shit, man, I gotta figure out my stuff first. And that's perfectly fine. Just understand where you're at, right? And do it from a joyful state. Understand that you have the permission to walk through life smiling, go through your day and smile about it, and have good moments, right? And stay in alignment with that truthfulness that you have within you, and don't forget that's a God-given right.
Yeah. Well, and so the last C before we wrap up here is creation.
Yeah.
And so I'm a firm believer that, a lot of people want to know, or they say, I don't know what my purpose is, and I want to discover my purpose. It's like, it's not something you just randomly find because you trip over it. Like, purpose is something that you assign. Nothing has any inherent meaning or significance.
Right.
It's all assigned. So you get to decide. And back to, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right? Like, what is it you want to do? Because I believe like business 101 is doing what you love and then find a way to monetize it. Find a way to make a system out of it and delegate some things and build and scale and grow. Like, and that's exciting. And so if you can turn your work into play because you love the action itself, because it is the fulfillment, just doing the thing, that just opens up so much. And if you're an entrepreneur, it's probably because you want autonomy.
Yeah.
You want to be able to express yourself in the way that's unique to you and it resonates. And you don't want someone, breathing down your neck or micromanaging or telling you have to do it a certain way. Like, you want to do it your way. And so that autonomy is important for creativity. And when you have autonomy, you want to master that which you do. Like, who doesn't want to be a master of what they love?
Yeah.
And so you just have more value that you get to share with humanity when you master a thing. So creation requires autonomy and a desire for mastery. And so, if you're creating, that's something unique to you and you're expressing it only the way you can, you've got a community, a tribe of people around you to support you that are smart, high vibe, good people, and you're contributing to humanity in such a way because what you do provides value. How are you not filled with joy, happiness, and of abundance?
Yeah. And that, the abundance, and it becomes a byproduct, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, Einstein said, you got to just decide, is the universe a hostile or friendly place, right?
Yeah.
And so you just got to decide, are you abundant? Like, there is an inexhaustible amount and resource available for everybody? Or is there not enough and we've got to fight, compete, manipulate to get my share?
Yeah.
You just got to decide.
That's another thermostat I hadn't thought about, the abundance thermostat.
Yeah,
So
man.
we have financial abundance and then joy.
Yeah, and you're not more abundant. You're either abundant or you're not.
Yeah.
And same with scarcity. Like, if you don't believe there's enough, like, there's no degree of that. There's not enough, and that'll be the lens, the bias lens, in which you perceive everything.
Right.
I know that one well because I used to be that. What a scary, shitty place to live.
Yeah. Staying in a space of struggle is not part of my business plan anymore.
And it's an option. Suffering is optional.
Yeah. Fam, I hope you guys like that conversation. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Justin, where is the best place to reach you at?
Yeah, everywhere, social media, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, or my cell phone, 348-8534.
Boom. There you guys have it. Make sure that you follow me on social at Rafael Cortez, CEO, pretty active on Instagram. Subscribe and like and share if you like the podcast. If you don't like it, subscribe, like, and share too. I don't care. Brings me joy. So with that being said, remember, it's a two-way conversation. So drop any comments, let us know your thoughts, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this.